After power breakfast, we were on our way to the prehistoric town of Akrotiri, which is the main topic of today's video. Akrotiri is a Cycladic Bronze Age settlement site, on the volcanic Greek island of Santorini. The name comes from the nearby village of Akrotiri, as the original name of this site is unknown. The earliest excavations on the island of Santorini were conducted in 1867. Akrotiri was buried by the massive Theran eruption in the middle of the 2nd millennium BCE, during the late Minoan period. As a result, like the Roman ruins of Pompeii after it, it is remarkably well preserved.
Free Wi-Fi.
The extensive modern excavation was started in 1967 by Spiridon Marinatos and revealed the full value of this site. Marinatos's choice of the site proved to be correct, and a few hours into the excavation, the remains of the buried city began to be discovered. The next step was to determine the extent of the city, which took 2 seasons devoted to the site in 1967 and 1968. In 1975, after Marinatos' death, Christostomus took over as the head of excavations. Excavated artifacts have been installed in a museum distant from the site, Museum of Prehistoric Thera, with many objects and artworks presented. Only a single gold object has been found, hidden beneath flooring, and no uninterred human skeletal remains have been found. This indicates that an orderly evacuation was performed with little or no loss of life.
Morning.
Hi guys.
Morning. So we made to Akrotiri, prehistoric town in Santorini. Archaeological site, yeah, we made it here. So we are discovering right now. So we are quite stunned about the size of it and how well they are preserving it and how they taking care of it while still excavating. And let's find out.
The excavations at Akrotiri have produced a large variety of artifacts revealing numerous varieties of late Cycladic pottery from the area. Pottery is the most common and most enduring commodity in the culture of the majority of ancient societies, and, thus, is of great importance to archaeologists in interpreting ancient Greek societies. At Akrotiri, pottery is particularly abundant because of the circumstances surrounding the demise of the town, in that its sudden evacuation meant that inhabitants were only able to take their most valuable possessions with them. In regards to furniture, the volcanic ash which engulfed the city often penetrated into the houses in large quantities and, in these layers of fine volcanic dust, produced negatives of the disintegrated wooden objects. Using these negatives as molds, liquid plaster of Paris can be poured in and produce casts of parts, or even entire pieces of furniture such as beds, tables, chairs or stools. There is a path descending from the first houses of the modern settlement to the parking lot of the excavations of Akrotiri, connecting the old excavation site to the town of Akrotiri. The path was signposted and reopened in September 2012 and now regularly undergoes maintenance, thanks to international volunteers. The local population has been the first supporter of this initiative and in charge of the upkeep of the path, working alongside the volunteers. The frescoes in Akrotiri are especially important, for the study of Minoan art because they are much better preserved than those that were already known from Knossos and other sites on Crete, which have nearly all survived only in small fragments, usually fallen to the ground. All of the pigments used by the artists at Akrotiri for painting the frescoes look as though they are mineral-based, and thus have resulted in the great preservation of the pieces. The colors used in Theran painting include white, yellow, red, brown, blue and black. The excavations at Akrotiri have produced a large variety of artifacts revealing numerous varieties of late Cycladic era pottery from the area. Pottery is the most common and most enduring commodity in the culture of the majority of ancient societies and, thus, is of great importance to archaeologists in interpreting ancient Greek societies. At Akrotiri, pottery is particularly abundant because of the circumstances surrounding the demise of the town, in that its sudden evacuation meant that inhabitants were only able to take their most valuable possessions with them. Excavated artifacts have been installed in a museum distant from the site, in the city of Thera, with many objects and artworks presented. Only a single gold object has been found, hidden beneath flooring.
Santorini, archaeologists are bringing to light a cosmopolitan harbour town which, like Pompeii, was buried under a thick layer of volcanic ash some 3,500 years ago. The houses revealed so far speak of the high standard of living the citizens enjoyed. One of them is the so-called West House. As is the case with all the buildings, it's multi-storied. On the ground floor are workshops and storerooms, and on the upper floor are the domestic apartments. Colourful dressed stones frame the windows and the corners of the building. Most impressive, however, are the multiple windows that give light to a very special room on the first floor. All the surfaces were covered with wall paintings related to the sea, young fishermen proudly displaying their catch, while a frieze above the windows recounts nautical expeditions to faraway places.
In 2005, a new roof structure, meant to protect the site, collapsed just before its completion, killing one visitor. No damage was caused to the antiquities. Between 2005 and April 2012, the site was closed to visitors. Between 2005 and 2016, excavations stopped, due to lack of funding, then resumed with sponsor support. The Akrotiri Boxer fresco, discovered in 1967, is one of the wall paintings of Thera and a leading example of Minoan painting, though the version usually shown here includes large sections reconstructed by archaeologists, which can be identified by their smooth texture. It is a fresco depicting two young boys wearing boxing gloves and belts and dates back to the Bronze Age, 1700 BC. To achieve such vibrant coloration there are several techniques possible. In buon fresco, commonly known from Renaissance art, lime plaster was applied to the walls and then painted over while wet with colorful paint. In Minoan art, frescoes often employed another technique as well known as fresco secco. While an exact population figure for Bronze Age Akrotiri isn't known, it was a significant, wealthy Minoan-influenced city on Santorini or Thera, with several thousands of inhabitants, a thriving port with advanced urban planning, and extensive trade before its sudden abandonment around 1600 BCE due to a volcanic eruption, making it a significant Aegean center. Due to immense ashfall, pyroclastic flows, and devastating tsunamis that impacted Crete and the broader Aegean. While not the sole cause, the eruption significantly weakened the Minoan civilization, disrupting trade and potentially causing climate impacts. The eruption caused the central part of Thera to collapse, forming the distinctive half-moon shape of Santorini's caldera today.
Hi guys, so we just finished the tour of Akrotiri archaeological site, which was quite interesting. No,
Yeah, it's very interesting.
what was the
Better
most
than
you
the
what was the
flood
most
projects of the Philippines.
better than the flood projects in the Philippines, which is quite astonishing that in 21st century we don't have the uh, proper flood proper flood control in Philippines in the modern country. But yeah, it was interesting. It was a mixture of like what I can see like mud huts that were built just from sand and some randomly shaped stones to the stones that were carved in right angular positions, like the corner of the buildings, the windows. I don't know, it was the reinforcement of the modern day, but it looked quite interesting in the sense that it was like shouting at you that it might be slightly different, and because the civilization span over 3,000 years, there were maybe different events that sprawled and affected the civilization. So maybe at some point they reached the peak where they could build more structured buildings, more right, um, right, right upstanding columns, where at the end of their civilization they just could build mud huts.
And the windows are wooden, no?
Yeah, I think this is modern. I think this is a modern day reinforcement where they were reinforcing the windows.
Up until now, they're still excavating. It's hard.
Yeah, they've been excavating since 1967, which we're saying, and until now. So quite a long process.